Hi everyone, this is Greg from Paris, back between two heat waves, yeah, something like that, to re-review this Craigellachie 13 that I've reviewed 3 years ago, then to review an independent from Signatory Vintage Craigellachie 10 years old with a high strength, 57.1, and finally to review for the first time, but not on Instagram, for those who read me, just give some indication, an official bottling of 15 years old in the exceptional cask series, so cask strength, single cask. So here I am again with 3 whiskies that could be, should be, we'll see that, considered as sherry monsters. Well, I can already tell you the high strength ones have to comply to that category because of their composition and their style, but we'll find out more about that because they're different. Okay, before that, let me also announce you, before I forget, there's another signatory I have to review, I forgot, which is a Ben Nevis, for a French channel of shops, Le Comptoir Hollandais, 61.7 ABV, so a bit too hard to do a comparison today. Also reviews of 2 Morrison Bowmore distillers indie bottler should come soon. Mactala Oloroso and Williamson, 9 years old, so Lefroy should come soon. What else can I say? I gave you historical background for the Craigellachie distillery in my first video about Craigellachie 13, 17 and 23 years old. So I will put a link below if you want to see this video. Unfortunately, I don't have the bottles of the 17 and then 23 years old, which was quite a stunner, but I had samples, so I did review the samples. But I also reviewed something I'm not going to re-review today because it's too many cask strength for this session, moment of time. It's the independent bottling of 14 years old, 1994, 28 bottling, single cask 1058, Berry Blossom Red, very zone selection, but it's a bourbon cask, so it fits also less well in that set lineup of today. Very short, briefly about the distillery, but I am putting out now, I'm renewing my website, so there's a complete, okay in French, but you can Google Translate, there's a complete explanation about the distillery online now on gregswhiskyguide.com whiskey website, where you will find some information that I gathered that are not in this malt whiskey yearbook, still reliable, but not for everything. So you will learn, I think, maybe more things that you could know. Also, I had to reach out for the website and the company to make sure of something that is not written on the label still now, unfortunately. So I'll tell you about that in a second. So it's 1891 is the official date of the final stage of the distillery's build. We can run the first, can do the first run of the distillate. So 1891, let's say it's the official, it's on the bottle as well, date of foundation, but it's before that, in fact, 88. So this is part, of course, nowadays of the Bacardi portfolio of distilleries. Bacardi being based in Cuba, but they have their headquarters elsewhere. They own indeed the John Dewar and Sons blending company, which is the, let's say, like Shiva's brothers, the owner before the owner, or subsidiary group, who owns 5 distilleries, so Craigellachie, Aberfeldy, Altmore, Royal Brackla, and Macduff, who produces the Devon. So this is an old distillery that has been completely renewed in 1964, and you will find more details about that. What is really amazing about it is distillery, except of course the use of warm tubs, but there's currently 20 distilleries in Scotland using worm tubs, so opposed to shell and tubes. We'll explain that in a minute. And also, what can I say about the distillery? Yeah, there's something that's not often said, and I don't have a picture, sorry to show you. It's the size of the stills is huge for a Scottish distillery. Each of the 4 stills have a capacity of 730 liters of alcohol each one. The mash tun is 10 ton, full auto mash tun. So warm tubs, yeah, this is supposed to. What are warm tubs? These are some coils, some like snake, who gives the French name condenseur à serpentin, so condensers with a circling copper tube system that are outside the distillery, cooling the distillate coming from the line arm of the still right into this big vessel, which is with cold water, in order to cool down the spirit before taking it back to the spirit receiver, spirit safe. But also this short copper contact is supposed to remove some stuff, but also as there's less copper contact, it normally gives a heavy malt, meaty, bit sulfuric maybe distillate. But this is the generalities about warm tubs, so opposed to shell and tube system that's close to the still inside the distillery, which 90% of the distillery have. But this I learned that this is compensated. I mean, the less copper contact and the more heavy distillate, it's compensated by the fact they have a fermentation time of 56 to 60 hours, which is also this with the cut of the spirit at 64% ABV. I understand that this gives a more fruity profile, but you can have both depending on the expression you have. And it's interesting that on the table we have not the full picture, because then 17, which is lighter, is missing on the table, but the 13 is somehow the one that's less heavy than the 2 others. Also because the makeup of the first one, and we will see that in a second, is a bit different than the 2 others. Now, all that said, for those who wonder, there used to be a 14 years old Flora and Fauna in the range. At the time it was UDV, DCL, all these details on the website. Not gonna lose too much time now. But nowadays there was also a rare malt selection of 22 years old, a fabulous old range from the pre-Diageo, the Diageo, let's say. Nowadays is the 13, 17, 23, and 19 years old for travel retail. I tried a Whiskey Life Paris last year. That was nice. 21 years old, there was one exceptional for the Craigellachie Hotel. I also put a link below to it. I had the chance to try it at Aberfeldy Distillery, which belongs to the same group. 37 years old, 39 years old, I haven't had the chance to try. Missed an opportunity to try the 41 years old under the table of Whiskey Life Paris. Too bad. And also the 51 years old, which appeared, I think it's 2018, but was bottled in 2014. A single cask that the distillery did, and I have to really give them props or credit for that. Instead of launching this 4 or 5 digit potentially whiskey just, I mean, on the market, and that's it. They didn't sell it. They only make people try it on a ballot, simply you have to subscribe somewhere to register to participate, and if you were chosen among the different locations in the world, for instance in a London bar, you had an evening with 3 pours of this 51 years old and other expressions, just to make you try it. This I found nowadays fantastic, and fantastic marketing approach, and a beautiful gesture from Bacardi to do that. So hats off to them to have done that. I would have loved to try it, but I guess there's older expressions that will come soon. Okay, enough rambling explanation about the distillery. And let's get to the tasting. I had to retaste prior to the, hence the legs you will see. Prior to the tasting, I had to retaste this little baby, the 13, because I haven't tasted it for years, because I didn't have a good experience about it. So the rating has changed quite a lot. Yeah, Edward and Marquis, founders, that's the name of the founders. So in this 13 years old, bottled in 2020, you have a batch number that's a bit misleading, I think, here, because it's the same for several years in a row. So I don't understand why it's the same batch number for a lot of years, different years, though there is here a code L2029 blah 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 engraved on the bottle. You cannot see it, but there is a code there. Yeah, you see the warm tops here, so it explains a bit on the back label. So this is a packaging for France. I had it with a little discount for 48 euro 37 back in 2020, with this big box I showed in the video. Okay, the writing is in French to explain, for most part, to explain. Yeah, it's heated with fuel, a kind of coal. So this is also important. You can see it, the inside. There's 2 glasses, very special glasses. I'll show you one closely, but here's how the box is. If you're interested in, you can have a view there. Oops, I'm not showing it properly, I'm sorry. It's a bit complicated with the reverse. Anyways, comes out with this, I believe, chef and sommelier glass, with a branded glass, which is a bit similar to my partner for the glasses, except doesn't have a base, with a Spiegelau glasses. This one is the Wills Berger anniversary glass. Why I speak about these, and I will go back to it in a minute, it's because I'm using their Authentic 30 glass for the most refined whiskies I'm trying since 1 year or 2 now. I have a partnership with them, so I bought 2 glasses of this. I found the glasses beautiful and very efficient to get a more complexity of the profile. This glass, I mean. And so I met them and they made me visit, not the factory, because it's Spiegelau is the brand. Oops, sorry. Spiegelau is the brand, and RavinetDarc is the French distributor of them and other brands. So I partnered with with RavinetDarc to provide me, when needed, other glasses, and so I have 6 of these. That's how I managed to do vertical and themed tastings with the same 6 glasses. They provide me also a few others to try along. But coming back to another company, those are interesting, not necessarily to assess and to review whiskies, to be honest, but rather to enjoy it comfortably in an evening Why? Because the base is very wide, also the top, but also you have to pour a lot of amount of whiskey to get the experience, and it's not super responsible to advise that. But if you are just gonna enjoy 4 to 6 cl in the evening and that's it, you can relax with it, take your time. You can also have it on ice if you want, or with one big chunk of ice, which is always better. But yeah, you know, you have this, and it's the Comptoir Irlandais who sells that, who did sell this big box, but we're not there for it necessarily, but more to see what's going on there. The legs, it was already poured, are sticking very tightly and long time in the glass. Why do I speak about the appearance? Because it's important. The viscosity is important to evaluate, even in a simple way like this. I don't have a device to measure it. The more the legs are sticking to the glass and descending slowly, the more fat the whiskey is, the more it did kept its organoleptic in French. It's different tasting qualities. Why? Because of a certain age, yes, a certain ABV, 46%, but also because it's unchill filtered. And it's uncolored, but damn, I had to do some big searches to find out, and I was very surprised that finally, because it's nowhere on the glass and on the box and for any expression, but weirdly it's on the website for each core range expression. They explain that all the Craigellachie whiskies are natural color, non-chill filtered. Hooray! But please put it on the label. I mean, come on. Okay, on the nose. So what I didn't like first has now melted down and settled down, and really took the time to find its way to seduce me, let's say, while it found very disjointed and lacking of character, blah blah blah. 3 years ago, which made me give a rating of 83.5. It's not bad, but under 81 it's not a great whiskey, so it gives you an idea. As much I did praise the 17 and 23, this why I didn't really like it, or I didn't more likely got into it. But now I get it. Doesn't mean it's my favorite expression, but I understand it well. So what's in there? There's more chocolate. It's meaty, not really meaty. It's malty. It has also some gentle oak. It has some chocolate, but it has some vanilla. But the chocolate is not a 70% cocoa fat chocolate tablet. It's less than that, and there's also some hints of milk chocolate. And why? Because I thought this was only sherried, but no, this has a complex recipe. This is matured first in bourbon and sherry casks, and then finished for half of the blend of the cask, finished in first fill sherry cask, but half of it's still finished in first fill bourbon cask. So you get a compromise between full sherry expressions that you have in small batches, or single cask like on the table for the two next, but you have also some of the indie I mean, this one is full bourbon, it's a single cask of bourbon, so it's a different experience, and to be honest, it's thinner than this. It's less interesting, it's a bit monodimensional, and a bit disappointing. So what else do I get? Don't remember what I had noted. Honey, yes. A bit of rancho, a bit of mustiness, but it's a bit gone now. A bit herbal, a bit sweet and sour, but it's less true now as well. A bit of spice. Yeah, and slight also bitterness at the end. Let's see. But it's on the palate. It's the palate note. Sorry. Okay, so all in all, it's something herbal, something little vanilla, not much, little oak, not tannins, but something that's really characteristic of a lot of bourbon casks from Scotland. There is kind of, let's say, gentle oak. It's difficult to describe this sensation. It's not new oak, it's something different. Maybe some wet oak, let's say, but not musty. Okay, it's not super pleasant, it's not super exciting, but it's not bad. Of course, I would have preferred, it's around 25 today Celsius degrees. I would have preferred 5 less. But I'm recording this late in the morning, so hope it's noon now, but hoping time to prepare everything. Okay, might develop even in time. It's under neck pour, it's past the shoulder, but I believe they might still evolve, so I'll give a confirmed, so to speak, note, but might change. Okay, let's go on the palate now. So basically the same experience, maybe that of more malty side. Strangely, it is not that far from Glenfarclas 12, which has a lot of refill cask, and maybe some batches of the 15. Didn't do the comparison, but it's what my memory says. Let's get back to it before diluting it. Yeah, so maybe I would have added 20% more of the sherry in there, but this is more mass market oriented, let's say. I know this one is very popular amongst the whiskey community, YouTubers and stuff. With, I think, Sheldon from Northworthy Whiskey. Sorry if I butcher your account name on social media. Sheldon from Canada. He's one of the little, if memory serves with me, who's not a fan of this expression. But I have to say I'm slowly changing partly my opinion. This morning, let's say today, after 3 years of struggling with it, or not really tasting it, to be honest. Okay, water's bringing back some nutty side to it. Water's also bringing back some honey. Let's say chestnut honey. It's a bit more dense, dark than acacia honey, for instance. There's some sweet spices I forgot to mention. A bit of cinnamon, nutmeg, but cloves are very discreet. Yeah. All in all, pleasant whiskey. Let's see if I did increase the rating, but I'm not sure. No. Okay, I think this is more. Yeah, 88.5 is my rating now. I don't know if this will change. So 88.5 for something about 50-60 euros there now. It's not bad. Not my favorite Speyside though, but still very decent, quite good, let's say. But I was expecting more, let's say. I prefer by far the 17 and the third 23, especially 2014 or 2016, which for me, who haven't tried older expressions, is the pinnacle so far of the core range. Okay, let's go to this one now. Before the official on why, because I think this one is a bit harsher and less deep. Also, it's younger. It's 10 years old versus 15 years old, and also the recipe is quite interesting there. This is from the 100 proof range. I'm not going to explain now what 100 proof is. It's an old way of measuring the ABV by lighting some powder, etc. You can find that online. This has no tube, but I did made up, and this has mistake repetitions. I have to change it. You can see though this Andrew Sigmington, the founder of Signatory Vintage. It's edition 39. So you have the details here. So as you can see, it's quite weird combination. We don't know how many casks, we don't know how many bottles. I regret this, but you see first fill Pedro Jimenez Sherry Hogsheads. So, and second fill Oloroso Sherry butts and Rechar Dechar Hogsheads. We'll see if the notes match to mine later on. What I found interesting there and made me buy it when I saw it at a retailer friend, where I got it for the French price, is by the way 63.90 at Julien de Savignac. It's a nice channel of shops, wine and spirit shops. It's the same price as La Maison du Whisky. I bought it in May, late April. But the fact it's second fill Oloroso and sherry butts are around 5 to 550, I think, 500, 600 liters. There's less contact with the oak, and second fill there's less influence of the Oloroso, but more of the Pedro Jimenez sherry, which it's a bit richer and sweeter. So maybe I thought it would ease the experience. The Rechar Dechar Hogsheads are reconstituted cask of 250 liters. They can be either sherry usually, but they can be also bourbon or so. The Rechar Dechar means there's some wood technology involved, right? But they don't say it always that way. But that might influence the oakiness in it, might enhance it or decrease it. We'll find out. Anyway, it's bottled at 57.1, the Old Navy strength. Here we can see it in the glass. So it's quite dark, a bit mahogany, but it's a bit slightly red hues, reflections. But at the same time, it's not as dark as some PX or dark Oloroso Sherry. But what is very interesting is I knew it was Craigellachie, so it's quite a spirit distillery character. Could maybe really resist against this this treatment, this cask makeup, and also the price. And also, I wanted to have an indie Craigellachie that was more on the sherry side than the one I have from Berry Brass. So sticky legs, of course, non-chill filtered, non-colored. Beautiful nose, very nutty, very chocolatey, raisiny. Did I say it was distilled in 2007? You had the details if you pause the box, improvised box. And bottled on the first it's from 2014. It's the next whiskey, and bottled on the first on the 24th of January of 2005. There you go. 2025. So rich color. Let's see my notes. I'm not mistaken again. You know, to prepare this is always something. No, it's not this one either. Greg, you're messing up with things. It's not this one. It's the last one. Yeah, I did hesitate on the tasting order, to be honest. I didn't wrote a lot of things. Malted barley, yes, there's something like sweet and sour and almost satay sauce. Yeah, I can't believe I wrote that, but yes. Satay sauce, you know, I really love. There's some nougat as well, and some you know, Havana, double Corona, Havana cigar, something like that, just a bit. Loads of chocolate, raisins, figs, dates. There's something super seductive, almost floral in there. In this mix, a bit of heady flowers that I cannot really find what it is. Maybe some licorice. No. Cannot be some violets or lilac maybe. Quite interesting. I didn't expect that. I mean, it's past the shoulder, but it's still close. I take it's gonna open up. So yeah, quite seductive nose. I really love the nose, but let's see on the palate if the experience neat is interesting. Stanjeva. It's a bit hot, a bit woody as well. You can see what they wanted to impart there. So maybe for some people a tad loud on the oak, but the tannins are sweetened by, I believe, the PX. Maybe a bit of the Rechar. It's not super long. I tasted it with a better temperature. It was even better than that. But what I like about this is it's very rich, and it's still, despite the makeup, or because of it, it still has some distillery character, which is very precise. I can remember a bit of this, not really spiky, but a bit spicy and sharp, nutty notes, nutty and sweet spices notes. Very malty again. Yeah, there's something very seductive in this mix, maybe oriental as well. Now, okay, for some people it might lack complexity. There's something really delicious, bit pastry-like in it, I think. Let's add some water. Maybe a bit more. What's interesting is it's fresher than the water is fresher than the whiskey. So if I'm here for an hour preparing things, so I'm obliged. I'm sorry if you hear the fan. I'm obliged to put the fan to compensate a bit the heat. Yeah, there's something of in French we say ovomaltine. In English you say ovaltine. I don't know why. So breakfast, rich breakfast with chocolate and cereals. Yeah, okay, with a bit of water. There's something, yeah, almost apricots. Now, yeah, that's a bit crispy. But what I like, as I wrote it down in my notes, is I love this one because I can feel the two sherry types. I can feel the drying, a bit oxidative Oloroso in there, but I can also feel a bit richer, very raisiny, dried fruity, chocolatey PX in there. And I love the idea that you can feel the two main cask. I mean, the Rechar is not going to impact fruity notes, right? But yeah, I love this idea. Will I change my rating though? I don't know. Might be not ultra complex aside from this still wide range of dried fruit, chocolate, malt, etc. But yeah, I don't know if give you a temporary rating only because I don't know how it will evolve. But I would say it fetches something like 89, 0.5 out of 100, not much more, I'm afraid, but maybe it will evolve better. Note that it's still 10 years old, so there's an obvious difference you're gonna see with the 15. Okay. Oh, really delicious nutty side. I would have loved to have more depth, but it hasn't, despite it's still complex. So that's why maybe I'm too generous. Maybe I will decrease a bit the score, but I don't see this go more than that for now. But do I recommend it for people who want something from this range? I haven't tried others, to be honest, because they come and go quick, and also I don't want to buy just to buy because it's affordable. I don't want 10 sherry monsters in my house either. I prefer to sense when they let some distillery character, and there still is in there. But yeah, would I like to try the Ben Nevis in that range? Mortlach, Glenlossie, stuff like that. Still don't have any Mortlach in my collection. Yeah, I know. But let's get to this, and I will explain also why I bought it. Because while the previous one was 63.9 euros, this one, let me tell you, it's way more expensive. I bought this with a bit of money remaining after my Christmas extended pay, let's say. Well, I bought a lot of whiskies, and this has an interesting background story in terms of how can I say that, not marketing, but this was sold, okay, let's tell you what it is and then the context. So this is a single cask from the Exceptional Cask series official bottling, 15 years old, non-chill filter, non-colored, now we know that. Single-Cask 905, Oloroso Sherry cask. This made 492 bottles, bottled at 58.8, and as you can see, this has the stamp of approval of Stephanie MacLeod, the Master-Blender and the Malt Master, who I paid tribute recently in one of the 2 videos called Women in History, Women in Whiskey, history of whatever, I don't remember now, of creating, blending, etc. whiskey, because I believe she does great things, not always but often, and I wanted to pay tribute to her. So if you haven't seen these videos yet, which doesn't have the views I consider they deserve, given the work about it and the theme, but just saying, let's have a look and see what I'm saying about what she does. But this one I bought in beginning of the year. This one was distilled the 25 of May 2007. I don't know if I can approach that more, or maybe the tube, which has the same informations. You can see it, but the writing is not super visible there. So distilled 25 of May 27 and bottle 3rd of January 2022. And when I went in that shop, Le Comptoir Irlandais, one of the two in Paris, two shops they have in Paris, but they have around 20 in the whole France. Contrarily to what you might think, Le Comptoir Irlandais says Irish counter. Some people still think the only whiskies they have, or the majority, is Irish, but no. The majority of the whiskies they sell, around 200 or more references, are Scottish. They have world whiskies as well, okay. They have other types of goods, right, it's not an alcohol only, they have clothes, etc. But they have a few bottles on the side to make the customers try, right? And to put a long story short, there were some people tasting some more casual, let's say, whiskies that I already tried. But for some reason, the employee, not the boss, but the employee of the shop said, would you like to try some whiskeys? Because I saw someone trying. I said, oh, why not? Yes. And instead of proposing me to pour me, what was it, the Glenglassaugh 12, which I'm not a super fan of, she said, do you want to try this one? I said, what? And I thought, whoa, she's crazy. She makes me try this, which is, I guessed at the moment, I didn't know it was around 200, but 199. I said, oh, why? Oh my God. I said, of course I want to try that, because I love Craigellachie. What I tried of Craigellachie, especially at the Aberfeldy Distillery Bar, that insane Craigellachie, 21 years old, for the Craigellachie Hotel. But yeah, this, and what convinced me when I tried it, believe me or not, is the level was not there. Level was there. So in theory, the whiskey could have been harsher, or past, or untasteful, or not interesting. But it was the opposite. I mean, it was gorgeous. The way it has evolved with the oxidation showed it was an exceptional cask. So I said, man, I gotta save money and come back and buy this one, and that's what I did. So like I said, this comes with a box with the same infos, and also explaining a bit the story of the distillery. Yeah, that Alfred Barnard did visit indeed in 1890. Again, see, doesn't say natural color. You have to say no chill filtering, but you have to go on the website. Anyways, beautiful bottle. I love the Stranger, what they did with the rebranding of the 5 distilleries of Bacardi's group. Yeah, you know him, this London-based whiskey design company, probably by a lot of different brands, gin, rums, but most of it the 5 brands of Bacardi, and of course Stranger did work for 10 years plus for Compass Box. So there you have it. It's quite dark, sticky legs, a lot of viscosity there. 58.8, it's quite a beast, and it's Oloroso this time. So some say it's probably wet casks. I don't know about that for this. In this case, a friend of mine, Teddy KGB, I think, Romain, thinks it's wet cask. Why he prefers the drier Oloroso cask from Craigellachie. I don't know about that, but I have to give him credit. He says he's not a fan of this style of sherry, but I think I am. Yeah, of course it's a bit hot, so it's less seductive than when I opened it in the winter. In winter time, I mean. Let's find out which of the four it is. 15, we're looking for the 15. Lots of notes already. Yeah. The rating is very high. When I tried in February 2 times. But I gotta review that, but I don't want to touch too much the rating in summertime, because it might be misleading for me. Yeah, you can feel some dust that I didn't get before. Maybe it's the heat, but I can also feel some very fragrant floral and fruity dried fruit, and something different than in the 10 years old we just had, but something more classy, more heavy. Yeah, a bit dusty, but in a good way. That really speaks 5 years more, in my opinion. So I did note dried fruit, dates, raisins, hint of wax that I didn't have in the 10 Signatory, figs, noble oak, some diverse chocolate, brownies, macadamia and pecan nut, slightly sulfured. Yes. Get a bit more cloves now. Cloves and nutmeg, maybe. It's a gorgeous nose. It's a different experience than the 2 previous one, let me tell you. You see you're climbing a step there. Okay, let's be not too long. Beautiful nose, gorgeous nose. Okay, on the palate, Sanjivar. Santé. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Nice length and complexity. Yeah, so we get what you had on the nose, all those dried fruits, raisin, date, figs, but we get also some apricots, also some chocolate brownies feel, so pastry side of it. Yeah, I noted some, these Maltesers sweets, but also some slightly burnt wood, slightly astringent on the mid palate, but then there's a comeback of sweetness that, as if there were some PX, but is not. Really reminds me of the 20 plus years old Pinot de Charente wine, sweet wine. There's something like that, but it's not overpowering anything. It's not fortunately a Pinot de Charente finish. I'm not sure I would like that at all. Yeah, very spectacular, still with some discreet aspect. It's not in your face. What I want to say to you clearly, it's not a sherry monster in your face, typical, let's say, current Abuna, or which are harsher than the often than the one I have, the 46, batch 46, 47. Also because they're younger nowadays. The mix is narrower age-wise, multi-vintage wise, I mean. You can feel it. Yeah, so it's not a sherry bomb like some Craigellachie or some. It depends. Yeah, it's opening up beautifully now with the chocolate. Chocolate, maybe some mocha now as well. It's very seductive. Almost, like I said, if there was peaks in there, So yeah, I agree with the assumption it could be wet cask, a wet profile of Oloroso. Yeah, it's just beautiful. I won't change the rates for now. Last sip without water. I'm gonna stop this video at some point. Well, slightly vinous now, but it's okay. I hate sherry and wine cask when it's super vinous. But this is beautiful. It has some dignified, some noble oak, noble chocolate. It's something very crafty. It comes across. I'm not gonna put too much water when it's Oloroso, a few drops. Yeah, it's expensive, but if you get it, you don't have a lot of aged, beautiful, decently aged, still a teenager, okay, but decently aged, great sherry casks. If you have to buy one, this one could fit well. Oh, more of this chocolatey, raisiny. It's full of raisins. I mean, sultanas, raisin de Corinthe, raisin de Smyrne, the different types of dried raisins. Something that's a bit oriental. I might not be able to define. Still those cardamom. Is it possible there's some cardamom in there and some five berries or Sichuan pepper? Something very complex and interesting. Okay, on the palate. It's gorgeous. I like the fact that something slightly vinous, old style of sherry, which makes me think at this stage that it's probably not seasoned sherry cask, but quite an aged sherry cask. Wouldn't say at the extreme of that, the best super longly aged Methusalem sherry cask. Methusalem means often 20 to 30 years old minimum, right? In case you wonder, sherry cask. Then Dalmore uses that, but what do they make of that? 40% caramel. After that, chill filtering. Too bad. Not always. They have some gems, but yeah. I don't know. I'm confused for the rating. I will take a second there. Maybe we'll temper some it's difficult. Yeah. I don't want to pause because I had issues with pausing lately. Sorry for the I'm still gonna try to pause. No, I'm afraid of pausing. Okay, so I don't want to give you a definitive score for this, but it's somewhere around, for me, in my way of scoring, somewhere around 92 plus potentially out of 100. Or really 91.5 plus. So it's somewhere between 90, let's say 91.5, 92 to 93, somewhere in there. Great stuff for me. That's all I can say. Beautiful. Wow. Okay, that's it. So if you can afford it, go for it. Otherwise, you have a more thinner complexity-wise option, but very pleasant. And then, of course, the 17 is beautiful, different, completely different. I prefer it to the 13. And yeah, chase down, try before you buy, but try some Craigellachie. This is a beautiful distillery. Thank you. Hope you see you soon. Like and subscribe, please, and comment below.